Okay. Well, Gary, thank you so much for joining us for People Just Like You. We're really excited to speak with you and learn more about your life and career and anything else you'd like to share with us.
Thank you, Gabriel. And I'm excited too. Yeah, so sounds like you're doing a great job out there,
Oh,
traveling all over the world and you know helping people and that. And that's what I like to do anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, great.
Kindred spirits then. Yeah, it's been a as we were just discussing just before starting recording, it's been a heck of a year and so much has been happening and so many people are in need of help and so it's very nice to be able to be useful to people and to inject some inspiration into their lives. And
Yeah,
so I thank you for helping to that in your work as well as here.
pleasure. Yeah, it's great. Even if we can help just that little bit, it goes a long way. Plant the seed.
Yeah,
That's great.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So first question for you, Gary. How did you get started in your career?
Good question. My mother, I mean, my main thing has always been palmistry for quite a while. Yeah, I do other things as well, but and with the palmistry, my mother and grandfather, well, they were quite well known in the 1950s with their mind reading and escapology and illusionism. And they were doing palmistry as well. I never learned from them, but I used to watch them. My grandfather would get me to hold up certain cards or what's behind the card, testing my, psychic abilities and all that kind of thing when I was about 6 years old. Um, but
Wow.
over the years I had Denise, my partner, we used to do music and that, write songs and things like that. And I had many businesses and but never really. I was always struggling, looking out there rather than looking within. And so, even when I had another business, I was always interested in the palmistry because my family looking at the palmistry books and reading people's hands and traveling the world and doing that. And then it came to a point where I don't know, everything else kind of faded, and the things that I was interested in all came together, and it was just like it was strange. It was like the universe said, "Okay, you're going forward now. You can't go back to that." And I've got two guitars here that I haven't touched for years.
Uh,
Can't seem to get back to it. But what's meant to be is meant to be. So this is what I've been doing for 20 years, really, in that kind of on that professional level, and incorporating it with other things as well. Yeah.
yeah.
So that,
Wow.
that's the family history, really. Yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah.
They were quite well known with the BBC with certain things, and I guess things help when you. I guess it's the genetic structure, DNA. So it gives us a little bit of a push forward, even though it came so much later in life. That it was there. It was always there, kind of thing.
Yeah. Amazing. So it's just unfolded for you and you haven't looked back. You mentioned to music or things you're interested in before, but as early as 6, that's so cool that this is something that's been a part of your life for so long.
Yeah, and then going back to that part, Gabriel, helping people because that was it. That was my main intentions, and I always say to people, I say there's a triangle. First part of that triangle is helping others. Second part is doing what you enjoy doing. And the third part is doing it well. Finding the uniqueness within. That's so important. Because when we help other people, the rewards come anyway. It comes
Yeah.
back, magnifies and that. So I
Yeah.
guess this is the tool, one of the tools I use for helping people to uh, realize and bring it to the what's buried in the subconscious, bring it to the conscious state, because we have all the resources, we know all these things, and I'm just saying, you have it already. I'm just bringing it to the surface like
Mm.
that, on that level, really. So,
Yeah. Wonderful.
yeah.
Well, in researching a little bit, about you, I see that Reiki, is it pronounced Reiki?
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, Reiki healing. It's and I noticed you have been to Hawaii. It should be quite big in Hawaii there. In fact, going back to the lady, Mrs. Takata, and or Dr. Chijiro Hayashi. That went back in the 1930s, I think. He had a clinic of Reiki there in Hawaii. And that kind of, but this goes back. Reiki is a universal energy, and it goes back probably thousands of years, really, in reality, with Tibetan Buddhist lamas, monks, and that. Dr. Usui, a Japanese Buddhist monk, developed this. He had enlightenment on a mountain, and he traveled and searched the answers for many years in Buddhist monasteries and all over China and other places. Never really found the answer until he kind of meditated on this mountain, and it was an awakening. You know, he saw all these bubbles of light and symbols and everything like that. It changed his life. And he developed that, but it's always been there. And you know, my mother and grandfather always told me, you know, when I was a child, I never went to the hospital when I was ill. Always said, "Oh, I can heal." My mum said, "I can," and I never saw the evidence. And it was some years later that I learned Reiki, and it just opened up for me. This it was very strange. It was like the heavens opened up, where I was able to have a tool again to be able to help myself and healing others. And that, you know, it's great. Since the lockdown, I've been doing quite a lot, not an awful lot, but a fair bit of distant healing. And people find that very relaxing, actually, just to, you know, like I could be looking at you, giving you the healing. We use teddy bears as well, Reiki. So I can actually feel the energy from that teddy bear sometimes, from where it is.
How does it work?
Well,
how do you go about healing
Reiki
through
is,
Reiki?
Reiki is, you know, we're all energy. Everything is energy. Energy cannot be destroyed, can only be transformed. So everything, you know, and people can be a little skeptical without that, saying, well, how can that work? You know, but with distant healing, there's no object. It's no object, you know. It works. It simply does. And you know, I've seen evidence of it. And, you know, even if people can feel good from something, whether it's psychological, physical, it doesn't matter, because something is working here. I mean, we could say 90% of illnesses may come from the mental emotional state before they enter into the physical body, and that, you know. So, you know, Reiki is a universal energy that you know, most people are kind of aware of energy. You know, they might feel a little drained from other people. They may feel good from other people when they meet them. And this is all part of that oneness, the energy, you know, the shift that's happening in the world now. People are, you know, they're going to raise their vibrations, levels of vibrations. And not many people will be going this way, working off that energy, you know, that higher self. And that. So it's all part of that. There's no separations. There are no separations there. And it's just really working with that. I mean, people say to me, you know, can anyone learn Reiki? I would say anyone can learn Reiki, but as long as the intent is there, you know, they want to do good, to help ourselves, others, and the intention is there, then it's there. It's a simple thing. And, you know, even Jesus in the Bible said, he said, you can do this and much more. So it's all there for us and that kind of thing. You know. It's simplicity, you know. I mean, animals respond to healing quite well. From that kind of, they haven't got all the confusions that humans have.
All the mental trappings that we've developed over the years.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, very cool. So, what is palmistry? How do you approach that?
Palmistry, you know, it's reading the hands. So the hands, shapes of the lines, the shapes of the hands, the back of the hands. I teach palmistry as well. There's a lot to it. Again, anyone can learn it if you're dedicated. Palmistry goes back, gosh, I don't know how long, 5,000 years, let's say. Some say it came from northwest India, Pakistan. Others might say it came from ancient Egypt, even, you know. Who was it? Aristotle, Alexander the Great. were interested in it. I think Aristotle wrote a thesis on that, then presented it to Alexander the Great. Julius Caesar used to judge his men on the back of the hands. Napoleon would judge his generals on the thumb. Now the thumb is a very important thing. Without the thumb, we're probably pretty, not that much use actually. So the thumb is a very important thing, and that can show shapes and characteristics. There were even in the Testament or Old Testament of the Bible, Moses actually said to his chiefs, he said, "Now go out and find chiefs for different tribes." And that he said, "How will we know them?" He said, "You will know them by the signs on their faces and the signs on the hands."
Wow.
So it goes back a long way. It's known more. People know more about palmistry in the East as well. In India, Pakistan, other places, even Singapore, China. That not so much in the West, but I think now, because of things have opened up a lot more. People are searching for other things, these esoteric side of them. They're starting to take more interest in the palmistry and things like that. Palmistry, funny enough, not many people know that the lines on the hands do actually change as little as
really?
As little as 2 to 3 months. I know. It's kind of
that at all.
You wouldn't imagine it really. So whether that's, I don't know, on the scientific level, electromagnetic energy coming from the brain to change it, who knows what it is. But I can tell you one thing, it's not to do with just moving your hand like that, because I saw a 6-year-old girl with probably more lines than a 90-year-old woman.
Wow.
Yeah, and I knew she was an old soul. Quite often many lines can indicate worries and that kind of thing, but she was definitely an old soul. So the shapes of the hands, the way the fingers bend, thumb alone, like I said, the nails, and then we go into, you could liken it like we have all these mounts here, so you could say like they're the mountains, and that on the outer circle, the mountains. Then we have the seas, the main seas, or you could say the main roads, right? And then you have the rivers, the estuaries where their blockages are and the flows are, and that kind of thing. So there's a lot to it, but it's interesting.
That is so interesting. Wow, yeah, that's so cool. I've never had the opportunity to have Reiki or have my palms read, to work with that. So this is so interesting to learn.
Yeah, I think with Reiki, you'd really respond to it. You just go for one Reiki healing, you feel that energy. Because, everyone can feel the energy, but sometimes, when we've been working on this kind of energy work, and if I could say, you can be more receptive as well. You can really feel that energy. But, it's not, we shouldn't, I cannot generalize with that. Everyone can feel that energy and benefit from it.
Yeah. Well, right now in the world, and I'm sure is been talking about the openness and the actually like seeking for healing of energy that's been blocked up from being quarantined and from not people not being sure whether they're doing something that's so meaningful for them in life. And I imagine right now more than in a long time, people are open to exploring new ways to find meaning in their life, whatever that may be. And these are two great examples for that.
100%, totally. And it is that time, whatever happens in a negative aspect of the world, there's always a positive. You can't have the sun without the moon, or the yin and yang, and that kind of thing. So there's always something, and this is the shift. I wrote a book called Now It Begins 9 years ago. I've written 3 books, but and I said, even then I said, there's a shift happening, but this is it now, really. We're moving forward, and we have the opportunities to raise our vibrations, the levels of vibration, to work together as unity, and unified. And this is what it's all about now as well. Working on. And I can see your aura on the screen there. Actually, quite
oh,
yeah.
I've the time that I recently spent in Hawaii has been very spiritual, and I feel like the same person, but yet different in my openness to the world. So that's funny that you say that.
Do you feel it's really, I mean, has it really opened you up on that greater awareness and that the way you see things from different perspectives, and you kind of become detached and you can see the bigger picture, I guess. And on that,
Yes,
yeah, that's amazing.
yes. To be focusing on the present. I used to think it was a cliche, like, oh, live in the present.
Yeah,
But actually living in the present and tearing your focus away from the future anxieties and the anger, sadness, negativities from the past, it just opens up so much more opportunity to connect with other people in life, to connect with yourself and really just find peace and ultimately find joy, more so in the present moment. It really matters.
it is. I mean, you know, it's, the only time is now. Past is gone and the future's a mystery, and the present's the gift, as they say.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
It's
it's
hard to
true.
find that,
It is. You
to
know,
realize that, but
yeah, yeah.
when you
We can
can.
go. Sometimes we need to go over there, and come back to our true self and that kind of thing like that. And, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned that you've written 3 books.
Yeah, I've got a
What?
fourth one coming out actually. It's one, two, three, four, five. Or is it five? Oh, uh,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
there's a
Me-
three have been published actually. Yeah, and the first one is called Now It Begins, and it was really my first book to say, you know, I put everything into that book, all my knowledge from the past actually, you know, and sort of really sort of maybe put too much in, I don't know, but it's helped a lot of people, that book, you know, it's helped. I kept it very simple, so we can just take it in, you know, really into the heart, and not so much up here and that. And yeah, it's helped a lot of people. It's law of attraction, healing, you know, spiritual practicality, stories, short stories, and then many things like that that I put into that book, and it's great. My second book was about my grandfather's adventures, but I get carried away when I'm writing books, and it went into sort of fantasy. So it's documentary fantasy, you know, it kind of goes on that level, but it's a spiritual journey, a bit like The Alchemist. It goes on a spiritual journey, but it still talks about my grandfather's, his adventures going up and coming down, you know, crescendo, that kind of thing. That's a good book. I guess I'm always pushing the first book because, you know, helping people really. But that's a good book. People that have read it, they said they really enjoyed it. My third book is, well, actually, my third book was about past life regression, but I'm still being edited. Actually, my third book, should I say, is this one I got here actually.
Oh,
Mirror images and sorry, yeah, mirror images in palmistry and tarot. Um, not not being done before, as far as I'm aware. I've merged the palmistry with the tarot, so I wrote it with a friend, Isabella Dulac, and we're kind of merging it together. So she's written the tarot side of it, and I'm putting out what tarot book, what I'm sorry, what each card refers to on the lines of the hand. Quite difficult that was actually, but it seems to work, and it seems to work. And that kind of, there's sayings in there, you know, some short sayings and things like that. And
yeah.
interest in that. Yeah, my book, which should have been out about 2 years ago, which will be up recently, it's past lives actually. It's about it kind of starts with me taking people back into past life regression. Again, it goes into a story. The person goes through 3 different lives, and quite very interesting lives and that kind of thing. Yeah. One is actually the third life is the Holocaust through the Second World War, and there's a lot more to it. It goes through kind of ancient history, and it connects with other planets as well, and
Mm.
certain beings from other planets. So I get a bit carried away sometimes, but it's all relevant. It's all relevant, and I believe that's going to be really that's a great book. So yeah, I'm
Fascinating.
always thinking about writing, but I don't know. I was. It's funny actually. Before we connected on this interview, I was thinking, you know, one of the questions you might ask me about writing, I was thinking, well, a lot of that writing for me, apart from a little bit of research, is just channeling. Sometimes I feel it's not me. So I'm writing and it's like the pen's just going on it almost on its own. It's very strange and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Have you ever read the book Big Magic?
No.
Check that out. It's by the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and a friend recommended to me, and we were doing a book club, and it talked about that an idea that inspiration and ideas are like spirits, and that they're not you. They come and they visit you, and so they channel the idea through you. And if you don't respect them, if you don't pay attention to them, then they'll say, well, okay, I'll take it to someone else who will appreciate me. And
that's
so
great thing, actually. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny actually because you know, sometimes you try too hard, the blockage comes, like kind of the block comes.
Yeah.
And when you're unaware, sometimes it's just there, and that's like, okay, I'm just going to give you this a little bit now.
Yes.
It's amazing how it actually. I mean, that's like any kind of psychic energy, I guess, and that sort of you can't kind of switch these things on and off like a tap. You know, they come and go and that. But that's interesting. The way you're saying it, that's quite interesting.
It is definitely. It's a good read, but it's like we can get in the way of beautiful things happening. You know, our egos or our attempt to like just control things can get in the way.
The ego,
so
isn't it? That's the greatest blockage, the ego.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I mean, my partner, we did music for quite a while, played at festivals and that. I always wanted to put my words were quite spiritual, and I always wanted to project it, but I found it very difficult actually to project it out there to the public. And it's kind of, I don't know, maybe that, and I think a lot of it was the ego, you know, kind of trying to, in different ways. Some things it works for some people. If it really worked for me, even though the songs were great and the music was good. No, I don't know. So anyway, I've transferred that energy to writing books now, and I find that's a lot easier to put across.
Well, that's great. Kind of like going and trying different things, trying different channels to get the creativity and the energy out. You know, they're all going to have different ways of resonance with that current time in your life, and allowing things to come out.
This is it, different cycles in life, and when things come at the right time, at the right time for us.
Yeah. So I definitely want to be respectful of your time. I have a few more. If you got a hard stop, but
I've got in about half an hour I'm doing an online distant healing, so I'm okay for half an hour.
Okay. Oh well, great. Well, thank you. So how do you approach tough days?
Good question. I was looking at that, and I guess it's like looking at remembering what I have learned in the beginning and from the past, and kind of practicing it, you know, sort of meditation, any kind of awareness that I need to channel to bring to me. You know, it's very hard because you know, we can all get a bit down and depressed at times, and that, some more than others. And when you are feeling very down, it's quite hard to break that pattern, to break that cycle. The best way to do that is try to, you know, get up and go for a walk, go to the pub, whatever you can do, and that to sort of change the mood, because you know moods come and go. We have probably several moods throughout the day, and that's nothing's permanent. But it's easy to get caught into that trap sometimes. And I don't know. I mean, the best way again to do this, if we're feeling sorry for ourselves, look at how many people are not so privileged, and that, you know, that's a good way as well. You know, but we kind of don't want to see that when we're down. We kind of get a bit tunnel vision. You know? So I don't know. Meditation's great, just to be in, as you said, Gabriel, to be in that present time. You know, when we project to the future, we create worries. worries about, what if this happens, what if that happens. Quite often it never happens, or it might happen in a different way, kind of. Looking at the past, we may regret things, I wish I'd have done that, before. I regret doing this, I regret not doing that. So we're losing ourselves. And that's when, as you said, we come back to that present time. And if we can stay in that present time without the thoughts, allowing those thoughts to just pass, or not holding on to them, catch them and send them up in smoke that are not relevant, and try to keep into that the state of being, then it can change a lot. It's not easy to do this. We need to practice it and work at it. And I've been meditating for many years, but I was still become distracted with things like that. So we're all human, we're really human.
Yeah.
But I like to try to. I work on it when I can, that kind of thing, in any way that's possible. I mean, some people might just take their mind off and get into writing, or do that. Could be very creative in that writing. It could bring out a lot of stuff. But quite often, in the tough days, it's really asking the universe and saying, "What is it I need to be learning here? What is this teaching me? What do I need to learn from it?" That kind of thing. Keep it kind of simple. Keep it simple.
Yeah. That's wonderful advice, and it sounds like a lot of good ways to get through tough days. Wonderful advice.
It helps. Nothing's perfect, and there's always blockages in front of us, but we can remove them.
Yeah.
We can remove them.
Wonderful. Well, what's something that you enjoy doing in your free time?
Good question. Sometimes I wonder if I do have any free time, but I mean, traveling has always been the greatest thing. We tend to go to India, well, before the lockdown, 3 months, 4 months a year, and that kind of thing. And then I'll take a kind of sub holiday, go off to another country or something like that. But traveling is I could just be relaxing and writing as well. And traveling different cultures, archaeological sites, anything really. That's top of the agenda. I think. I guess before, years ago, it was always writing music. Now it's writing the books, and I'm always doing that. Free time, I can't think of any. I mean, if I'm here in London, I probably visit museums and go out somewhere, countryside and that. But I guess it's hard sometimes, apart from meditation, to switch off. There's always got ideas to, maybe this would be the idea. Let's have a look at this. Yeah. So the mind's always quite busy.
Yeah.
But I don't think it matters. Work is only work when it becomes stressful, really.
Mm-hmm.
But we can balance that and kind of, we need a balance, but we can make that into free time as well.
Yeah.
Combine.
Yeah. Awesome. That's a really good point. Work is only work when we become stressful, and when we, dare to say, like, bring the ego back into it, and we try to control it. We try to make it go the way that we think it needs to go, and not just let it go the way it's going to go.
Totally. It's hard to see that sometimes. We get the ego, as you're saying, we get a bit stubborn and say, "No, I'm going this way." And the universe will say, "Look, I'm giving you this, but you're not listening. So we might get a bigger push the next time, or a bit of wake up call."
Yep. Definitely.
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah. So, so you mentioned that you are working right now on a book that you're hoping would have been out there before, but it's the right time seems to be now or the near future. What is something that you're looking forward to doing after this book?
Good question, actually. I mean, I don't know. I've got, funny enough, I have got another one I started in India, a spiritual book. So the first one was kind of like it's on that sort of level and helping others. But this other one, which not the one that's coming out next, is on the higher self. It's really about connecting with the higher self, meditation, and really bringing things towards us. kind of weird actually, because sometimes I'm writing, and then I don't write for a while. Something goes. Maybe it's because I'm not connecting, or maybe I'll just need that break, and then I just wait for the right time to connect again. Apart from being busy as well, that sort of distracts me. So I don't know. I always have these ideas and things come to me, intuition and that. I mean, something came to me the other day. Whereas about 15 years ago, I used to do some tapes for hypnotherapy. Helping. I call it heal yourself. Someone come to me the other day and said she had a reading. She said, "Oh, I haven't heard a nice, calming voice for a long time." And I thought that was really nice. And it kind of sparked off something. So I've just begun to introduce audio recordings with, for all kinds of subjects, and calming, relaxing voice, and my kind of relaxing voice, and music in the background, that sort of thing. But, it's funny how things just come up and they're all really there. There's nothing new really anyway. Everything's been done before. We're just recycling, but
yeah.
it comes back up. And I found that all through my life, through different cycles. And, I've looked at things and I may leave it for something like 12 years. And then something else will come up, or I'll use that to incorporate that, One example was I learned NLP. I don't know if you know NLP, neuro linguistic programming. I won't go into it, but anyone can look it up. Actually, I got a bit bored with it, and the first year, and it was evening classes at college, and then for some reason I thought, I'm going to assist the teacher the next year. So I went around again for another year, and I think, why? What am I doing here? I used it a little bit in palmistry. It's changing the negative to the positive, basically. And 12 years later, I wrote workshop Law of Attraction workshop. That NLP was Law of Attraction, and I incorporated it into that workshop and that kind of thing. It's strange, things come at the right time. They come around.
Yeah.
Without forcing it.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah.
That's amazing. Even over like years and years, like something that was in your life before comes back around when it's the right time, and it just weaves in and out.
Yeah, well, we are all results from our past, and even with past lives, if you're open to that, we're just kind of going around. From our past, you'll have those tendencies or whatever it might be in this life. And when I've taken people back in past life regression, I've always seen quite often a common factor, something in one of those past lives to correlate with something in this life as well. Sometimes it might be like they don't really get on with their family in this life, and in a past life there's something very similar is going on. It's kind of strange.
So now they're meant to work it out.
Yeah.
Finally, yeah.
That's the thing, is that, yeah. Again, when we're trying to work things out too hard, we create the blockages instead of just ask the universe. So what is it I need here at the moment? What to come in? And quite often you'll get someone might say to you, "Oh, Gabriel, have you read this book?" And it would just click. Oh, that's the answer. It just comes up like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Life is funny and interesting.
Yeah, it's all connected. It's all one, isn't it? It's all one energy.
Yes.
No separation. Yeah.
So I've just got a couple more for you. The last question, I guess, from me to you is from our previous interviewee, Oifi. She asks, what would you say is the meaning of life? What is it to you?
Ooh.
It's a heavy one.
For me personally, it's always been a big question. That's the biggest question for everybody. For me personally, it's always been helping others, doing good for what you can with others, always reflects in many ways, like I said, and meaning of life is keeping it simple, really. It's very complicated out there. We don't need to be, we don't need to keep things complicated. We can break it down to simplicity and that, and be focused on that. But that
Right.
meaning of life is, kind of a bit like the triangle, which I explained. Helping others, doing what you enjoy doing, and doing it well. And I think that's, I couldn't think of anything else about that, really. I mean, yes, obviously enjoy life for every minute, really, because we can, I won't say waste, nothing's wasted, but sometimes we can, I don't know, procrastinate or whatever. I'm not sure, the right kind of word, but I think because everything does come at the right time. But I think it really is about, feeling what you're really passionate about, what really makes you tick, what makes you feel good about yourself, rather than question it too much up here in the head.
Right.
Bring it down and that, and put it into action.
Right.
And change the world.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put. Change the world in your own way and
Exactly.
allow it to happen through you.
Just through those thoughts alone, we can. It changes. Everything changes around us.
Yeah.
Negative or positive.
Yeah. Yeah. So the last question is, what is something that you'd like to ask a next interviewee?
Well, I was going to say the same thing, actually. What is the meaning of what's the meaning of life? It's a wide question, that one, isn't it? No, actually, what I was going to say is, how do you see the world shaping up in the near future? Yeah, that's kind of an interesting one.
Yeah, perfect. Well, we'll find the answer out very soon here.
Yeah, it's been great speaking with you, Gabriel.
Absolutely. This has been a true pleasure. This has been really, really nice, and just learned so much. Learned so much about your life and the work that you do. And yeah, I've got several new books to add to the list now.
Yeah, and I think I'll always be writing, even though sometimes I think this is my last book, but then I get another idea coming.
Amazing. Well, Gary, thank you so much for joining us, and people just like you. We really appreciated having you, and we're looking forward to getting this up so that everybody else can see and listen along.
That'll be great. I look forward to that. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for your interview.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Nick. Okay, and
Cool.
I'll speak one day again, maybe.
Yeah. Let me stop this here.